Well, hello everyone. I'm Dale Steenbergen from the Greater Cheyenne Chamber of Commerce. We're starting this series where we just talk about what's going on in your community. And today, joining me is Domenic Bravo, the other bald-headed rock star here at the depot. So can't everybody have a perfect head? That's just the way it goes.
There you go.
Good morning.
Morning.
Domenic, how are you?
Great, thank you for having me. As Dale mentioned, Domenic Bravo, I'm the CEO for Visit Cheyenne, which is Laramie County's destination management organization, or traditionally known as a CVB. And thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, so here we are in August. It's brutally hot. We just got finished with Frontier Days. We got fires burning at Guernsey. God bless those people up there. There's the ranchers and homes that are in the way. I know that's very tough. But we just got through with big tourism from Frontier Days. So tell us, we all think about Frontier Days, and that's kind of what we know about tourism, probably most of us in Cheyenne. So I'm sure it's a very important part of tourism for you guys. But talk about tourism in our neck of the woods and what people come to see and what they do here.
For sure. So I came in January of 2020, which was an interesting time to come into this industry. But I think I really appreciate what the Chamber does and what Dale does, specifically because when we first came out of the pandemic, we did a tourism master plan. It was a 10-year master plan for the whole community. And the Chamber actually shared a lot of its strategic documents, and those are filtered into that. And through that, it kind of showcased that we have so much to offer here in Laramie County, and that obviously Cheyenne Frontier Days is a big anchor for that, but there's so much more. Where Frontier Days is about a $45 million impact overall, our visitor impact spend on tourism is closer to $460 million, which is substantial. And it means that we have year-round things going on. We're a very diverse economy, a very diverse tourism entity and destination. So it's a little bit of everything. So we do lean heavily into the Western Heritage piece. So we have another rodeo series that we started in 2020, and it's the Hell on Wheels Rodeo Series. So we're in our 5th year. Our finals that are in September are actually going to be a qualifier for the American in Arlington. Really excited about that. It's grown over the years, and we pretty much serve about 3,000 or so people at each of the events. They're about a $200,000 economic impact every time we have that. But the interesting part is it brings in people from all over the world. So we'll have 6 countries represented, usually about 40 states that folks come out. And what we have noted is about 80% of the folks come from outside of 100 miles. So it's pretty impressive with that. Outside of that, of course, we have all of our amazing museums and art and cultural festivals and just culture going on. So we were actually showcased in Forbes, one of the magazines, as being kind of this art and culture mecca. So a lot of folks come to see us. I mean, if you can go to every single museum that we have and you go check out of all of our boots or our bronzes or our murals, you probably need 2 days just here in our community just to do that. And then layer that on top of all of our great festivals and concerts and just tons of things to do. If you check out what we have going on, there's probably something every day and every weekend, and especially during the summertime.
Cool. Well, I did learn one thing about you. Your wife is an incredibly patient woman, and obviously she loves you very much, because I can imagine, hey, honey, it's the middle of COVID. We're going to switch jobs, and oh, by the way, I'm going to go into the tourism industry, was totally in the dumper at that time, right? So you're brave, and she's a patient woman. So one of the things that's amazed me in Cheyenne, and I still don't understand it completely, I guess, but is this fascination with railroads. So here in the depot, I mean, we see that all the time, but I don't think people really understand that we often walk outside this building and there's somebody from Europe or Asia, it seems like a lot of Pacific Rim folks that come all the way to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they will stand out behind the depot and take pictures of trains all day. Not, even when like big boy's not running, it's not a steam engine thing, which that's a whole fascination too. But talk about that a little bit, because that has fascinated me. And do we have a way to track that to see how much of our? I think that would be a hard one to track, but maybe there's some info we have on that.
Yeah, and I think, and they call themselves this, so I can say it. I mean, the Trainiacs that just love that history are pretty critical and another really important tourism asset and anchor for our community. But yeah, like you said, Big Boy being on display out at one of our parks. The oldest steam engine with Sadie over at Botanic Gardens that hopefully will be moving in the near future, was one of the catalysts as part of that tourism plan, was to try to work on some things on 15th Street to bring in some of the Union Pacific rail cars and engines and actually put them on display, because we have a substantial amount of folks that just love the history, and they'll sit in our observation area over here in the depot and they'll just watch the trains go by, and it's pretty amazing. So I really hope in future years we can work with Union Pacific to do some additional things. I mean, obviously we do some partnerships throughout the year. There are steam shop tours where you actually get to go over, you come here, do the museum, and then a group gets to go over and actually see how the steam shop functions and how the heritage fleet works. And they almost sell out. As soon as we post steam shop tours, they sell out. 3 years ago, when we first brought them back after the pandemic, we had 2 tickets open, and the lady was like on a waiting list, and we told her, "Hey, you get the 2 tickets," and she cried like on the phone. I was like, "Okay, like I'm so happy. I'm glad you get to come." And so we've been the folks over at the steam shop have been really trying to make time so that we're trying to do like one a month as much as we can. But yeah, it is substantial, and I was very fortunate. I actually got to ride on Big Boy on a trip to Denver, and literally every stop in any community probably had like 1,000 people at that stop. And even when it just did its recent trip, probably one of the busiest days we had was when it came back in for the little reception, with the people just lined the roads and the streets and the rails to get pictures of it. So
it is pretty amazing, this fascination with trains. I used to have I used to have some grass over in Nebraska where I kept my cows, and it was kind of east of Pine Bluffs, and it was the railroad runs right by the old Lincoln Highway there, right? So it's 8 miles along that, or 7 miles along that Lincoln Highway after you get past Pine Bluffs. So I kind of saw these people sitting at these rail stops. And I get over there, so even 7 miles east Pine Bluffs, Big Boy had left Cheyenne that day, and there is like a whole crowd of people. I couldn't even get down the road, parked, waiting to take pictures, right? And so the train interest is pretty interesting. Now where I live, if I have to go across the railroad tracks to feed cows in the summer, and I saw this car sitting, and it's 2 guys, and they just kind of parked beside the road there talking, and I went and fed cows, came back, and they were still sitting there. So I just popped my head in and said, "Hey guys, you something wrong? Can I help you with something?" And he said, "No, we're just watching trains." And so that was a couple of years ago, and every so often these same guys show up and they come take pictures, and I noticed other people that do that too. So the train fascination thing is real.
Yeah, and obviously it's an important part of what built Cheyenne and Laramie County. I mean, we were a hell on wheels stop because it's where they stopped for a long time and built up what we were, the Magic City on the Plains, because we were that until they could get up and over the hill, which took a little while. So it's why we did the namesake for our rodeos, the Hell on Wheels Rodeo Series. And yeah, I mean, trains are and will always be an important piece of both our history and probably our visitor economy.
So it sounds like you guys have a good handle on several things that you're doing in tourism and moving the ball forward. When you look out and more broadly, we're worried about this at the chamber too, and just think about the economy and what's going on in Cheyenne. What are your risks? What do you think our risks are in Cheyenne as we look forward in the economy? Or maybe you talk to tourism folks across the nation. I know we do that with chambers, and of course we always want to be very positive and bullish, but we try to recognize where businesses may face struggle too, because it's important that businesses plan for that and respond, right? So
for sure, and for us it's 3 things, and I think some of it will always be in play, and I appreciate that we have a great partnership, because I think we kind of think about these as we look to the future. The one that is big right now is just like the political climate, and it doesn't matter. I'm not talking parties. I'm not talking anything. It's just making sure that folks are, supporting business and thinking about that visitor economy. I mean, those two things, you figure with the state of Wyoming, when oil and gas sometimes does their dips and their roller coaster ride, it's tourism that keeps things at a nice steady pace. And so making sure that our decision makers are supportive of business, because we need business to thrive and support the tourism industry. And on the flip side, it's being able to have those folks supporting the tourism side of it. So I think those two components, which are you and I are in the mix of, are pretty critical. The other one is just staying current with trends. We've talked about the various generations and how they travel and what they want to see and how they interact and do things and all of that. And even though some things are always evergreen, and I appreciate that Laramie County and Cheyenne has a lot of evergreen things, that it doesn't matter, if you were born in the 40s or you were born, last year. People have things that they can do and have fun here in our community. So I think that's key, but I think we always have to be on that cutting edge. So that's always going to be at risk. And then I think the other component, which is a little bit weird, and it's more for us, and it's from the Tourism Master Plan, is just trying to keep us a year-round destination. I mean, we have some amazing weather in the summer. It gets
you do not appreciate the winter we have?
I do love the winter. There's sometimes there's a light breeze that we all know about.
Minus 20, 50 mile an hour winds is not something at the top of your tourism marketing, or what?
Not always, but we do a good job. I mean, I think OS Holiday that we also started in 2020 is a way to celebrate the holidays and keeps things. You may have to go outdoors a little bit, but you get to enjoy some stuff inside. And then recently, in our partnership with Laramie County Events, doing the indoor stuff where we did the futurity and then the jousting, which was unique, I think, as a way to have some indoor related things. But in the long term, we're going to have to figure out some indoor facilities of some type that draw in, some tourism economy during that period of time. So those are probably the top three that keep me awake at night. But outside of that, I love what we've accomplished over the last few years.
So I think it was President Roosevelt. He raced they were little sail skis. I don't know what you call them, but they were like they have a piece on each side like a catamaran, and then they have a sail, and you race that on ice. We could have some really speedy. We could do that. We could do that very well.
So very briefly, they did some ice boats up at Kirkcaldy. The
ice
problem
boat.
is, but the problem
I didn't know what you called that.
Yeah, but the problem is finding folks that, one, have them, and two, to have enough people to race them. So we have looked into that, because it's everything you just said. It's ice and wind. I mean, we have a little bit of that here in our community at certain times of the year. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll take any and all ideas when it comes to that, because that's just the one thing, is it'd be nice to have the numbers we have during the summer and the winter as well.
In some of our wins in the winter, you need like drag races for the ice boats, right?
Probably.
That would be kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking there's some bragging rights to the fastest drag boat in the ice races.
It'd be an engineering feat, that's for sure.
All right, you guys need to think about that one. I like that one. But you mentioned some things that which it's true that the tourism economy and the rest of our economy is not really that far unhitched, right? We need the business environment to be good. We need the business climate to be good. We need folks locally and in our state legislature to understand that tourism is a huge part of our economy. I think in Laramie County, we don't always see that, and it's important that we remember that, right? I mean, we have a few things that really drive here. Certainly we work on the Air Force Base and military all the time, so that's a big driver for the economy. Betsy, who is also a partner here in the depot, works on a lot of that new industry, and hopefully someday that will be a larger part of our economy. But really, tourism, it's kind of top 2 or 3 contributors, right? And at the crossroads of 2 interstate highways, there's a ton of opportunity here for us. So what do you look for, or what do you kind of think about the future of tourism? And maybe even, I know you said on some state boards and used to be state parks, and so you kind of have a broader view of not just here but what's happened around the state. Where do you think the trends are for our state, and what do we need to be doing to fully develop our tourism market in this part of the world?
Well, and I think that intersection you talk about it is the key piece. And we talk about this just from that, we're the 4 economic development entities that work hand in hand as we build our community that we live, work, and play in. When we think about ourselves as the Visitor Bureau or the Destination Management Organization, our biggest focus is creating a place that people want to live, which is crazy. We're like, well, we're supposed to care about the visitors, but no, if we create a place where people want to live, then of course the visitors take care of themselves. So when we, have all the correct, destination development and tourism assets and all those things all firing correctly, and then you have those really key businesses anchoring you. I mean, we have some just amazing businesses here in the downtown and out to Pine Bluffs and heck, Terry Bison, all these things that are businesses that you folks support to make sure that they're thriving, means that we have this great place to live, that then visitors, we're a destination. I mean, we're like a bucket list destination for people around the world. And with that place, it's that circle of economic development. So if those visitors come, they're like, I want to live here now, then or maybe I want to create a business, or I want to be a part of a business, then maybe they move in our community. And it comes back to, again, that visitors, that first date, and we're having these really great first dates that people just love our community. But I think to keep that momentum going, there's so many little tiny gaps, because ultimately, even though we're the largest county in the state of Wyoming, we're still pretty small. We are small, and it's both a blessing and a curse. I love that we have that saying that we're a town with really long streets for the state of Wyoming, but ultimately, to diversify some of the economy pieces, we'll have to have a little bit of growth. I think it has to be smart growth. I mean, we don't want to turn into Denver or anything. We always want to be and feel like we have a small town with big assets and big time stuff, because that's part of our allure and part of our appeal. But I think that's the piece that we're missing, is there's weird gaps because we're small. Like, and I'll just give you a for instance that I've been trying to work on this over the last few years, is if you're traveling through, let's just say you're coming from the Midwest, or you're coming from the West, probably a little bit less. We've had a few folks that come in and say, hey, we'd like to go up to Kirk Gowdy, and do you have any gear to rent, or someone to guide us, which is weird to us. I'm like, well, why do you need a guide? I mean, just go up and here's a trail map and have fun. But the interesting part is most people in an urban, even in the Midwest or New York or some places in California, when they come through, they may have never been on a hiking trail. And they think about things they see on TV. Are there going to be bears there? Are there going to be...
Well, there might be.
Well, which there might be. Well, that's fine. But there's the safety piece, and they want gear. They don't. They may not be traveling with a backpack or a mountain bike or gear that lets them enjoy the outdoors. And that's even in some of our biggest outdoor communities, which Cheyenne has shockingly a lot to offer. West and a little bit east of us, maybe not specifically here in downtown urban area. But the fact of the matter is there's not a lot of people that will take you on a hike or have gear to rent to you outside of University of Wyoming. And so to fill that gap is hard, because it's a risk. As an entrepreneur, you'd have to, get all the gear and hope that you're going to rent it. What do you charge to take someone out? What is the volume of people coming through? Like I said it qualitatively, but you and I are numbers people. We like the data. What is the data that says that business model will work? But we kind of intrinsically know it's a gap. And that's a prime example, is we have a lot of those types of little gaps in not just our tourism economy, but ultimately in what we offer to our citizens, that if we over the years don't figure out how to kind of bridge those gaps, I think we'll continuously have kind of weird issues that don't allow us to take it to the next level.
I think the thing that we've really changed within economic and community development over the years is understanding that we have to have a holistic approach, right? So when I first started as a chamber director, I started in a little town in Oklahoma, right? And if oil and cattle were both high, everybody was celebrating, right? And if they were both low the same day, everybody was crying and gnashing teeth, right? And so here in Cheyenne, I think when you think about that, we've come to the understanding that, hey, look, what the base brings in the military economy, what our industrial base and the industrial economy, what energy base and energy economy, what tourism base and tourism economy, all have to fit together. We need this quality of life, and we need workers, and we have to improve on that. So I think we're making good progress on that nowadays. I'm really proud of that I think the Chamber and Visit Cheyenne, Cheyenne leads. We've got a new director at the DDA, so we'll see how that develops over time. But at least from our three organizations, we have a strong understanding of that and are figuring out ways to work together to make the community better. And it's not likely that one of us will succeed and another one of us will fail, right? Our boats are going to float together, or they're all going to go to the bottom. And I think it's important for the community to understand that, because I think when you look back in Cheyenne's history, that has not always been the truth. They have really felt like we can be all in on this and everything's going to be fine. It's just not the world we live in anymore, and we have to have that kind of comprehensive planning. And I'm not talking about planning from, well, we want a Denny's here, right? I'm talking about planning, just looking out and seeing what we want our community to look like, and so we can be a draw for our young professionals coming back, our tourists that come in. So I think we're making progress on that, but we obviously have a lot of work to do. So I think we're getting to the end of our time here, so I just look at you. Any final thoughts for Chamber folks? And we appreciate your partnership, appreciate you coming in and having a discussion with us today, and we'll do it again for sure. But
I just reiterate, thank you for having me on the podcast, and also the partnership and relationship we have. Like you said, we kind of have to do it in lockstep, and have appreciated ever since I've come in, and we've kind of had everything from challenges to, like you said, some really great opportunities over the last years, and we just got to keep the momentum going.
Bald guys got to stick together. That's the thing you got to remember for the day. We'll stick together.
It's because we're aerodynamic.
Aerodynamic. So that's the word of the day, folks. Aerodynamic. Go out there, make your business aerodynamic. I think that could be a great slogan for a lot of businesses. How we move into the future, we're going to be aerodynamic. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.